Okay. I got to thinking about more things. The man that went to Paymer called Willback I lived at 4490 John Thomas, Ravenna, actually 10.6 miles out of town. Okay. The house before mine, some guy came over and helped me mow the lawn. He said he was some kind of male nurse. Okay. After my house was a duplex. There was an old lady staying on one side and a group of men staying on the other. They could pull the lease and find out who was staying there. Before I called Will back, they were outside mocking me. They had a copy of my phone. I don't know how they got a copy of my phone. WhatsApp. It's a child's book. I was keeping notes under me of things that were happening so quickly. And I even had church people follow me. And I was keeping notes A, B, C, D, after you put words in between. And then the real words of what was happening. So if Dave looked under me, it looked like jibber jabber. But it'd take an 8-year-old to figure it out. They were mocking me. When we first moved in, I cleaned out the back canopy area. It's beautiful. It looks like a jungle. There was broken bottles, beer, and there was food buried in the ground. I opened one of the packages to make sure it wasn't drugs. Okay. And it took me weeks to clean it all out. One of the guys on the other side of the duplex was out there talking. I figured we'd have problems with them when they moved in. Why would you have problems? We keep to ourselves. Right before it started, there was lights flashing above my house. I called my son John. I'm like, there's lights. And there was no fireworks. They were just flashing like signals. He said, Mom, they're angels. And I'm like, angels? He said, they're fighting over your soul. And I said, John, I don't mean enough to anybody. He said, Mom, you don't realize it's angels fighting over your soul. And I'm like, I don't mean enough to anybody. He's like, Mom, they're angels. Well, no, they were probably signals. On Christmas, he didn't have the kids because he's divorced from my daughter-in-law, Melissa, and he was going to go spend it with his friends. So I called him and I walked in the back canopy area and I called him and he went, hello. And I went, oh, Merry Christmas. He's like, Mom, I almost didn't answer. It didn't come up with your phone number. It came up with a whole different number. And it sounded like I was in a tunnel. Well, I thought the FBI was doing it, scrambling my phone at different times. But nothing was the FBI. They are probably drug running in that backwoods. Because why would you have lights flashing? And why would phone numbers be scattered in the canopy area? Because you don't want somebody to know the phone number you're calling from. The man that went to Paymer before I called Will back was also seen at that duplex. He was in it right before Christmas in the big picture window. Okay, so he either could be on the lease or those men know who he is. But yeah, I had bruises I couldn't explain. And I told you I couldn't even get out of bed for 3 days and to even think of how to handle this. And it's not like me. I had to get up and mow the lawn to get enough air in my face to call Sarah, where they're leaving threats in the mall, and she agreed to witness for me. And I took Will's number where he had left it, put it in a card, took it out to Kay's jeweler or manager, put it in her locker. We went on to Apostolic Church of Barberton. Paul Paymer minister got in Dave's face. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. He looks like the guy from the cooking show. I walk off, I sit down, Dave comes in, let's go, and he go out in the truck. He called the FBI on me. I'm like, what do you expect with these people threatening my life and you? And he's threatening my life in the vehicle. You're lucky I don't carry myself. And I put my arm on that load, on the console where he's got the loaded gun. He knocks it off. He's threatening my life. I'm holding it on the doorknob. The next morning, my head's spinning again. And I can't think, and I have to call Will, and I'm crying, and it's just like, not me. And the only thing I could remember was the what a shame guy, not the attempted kidnapping, not the attempted carjacking guy and threatening to knife me guy, but the what a shame guy, two different men. And he could have got him at Huntington Bank. I remember the what a shame guy because my head was gone from being drugged up. I was drugged up so bad up there. I weighed 212 to 217. And at different points, I couldn't even keep saliva down. I was losing up to 7 pounds a week. I went from 212 to 217 to 150 by February 24th, 19, and the case started September 27th, 18. I lost 62 to 67 pounds being drugged up so bad. And I had bruises I couldn't explain, giant ones. And I cut on my leg one day and I called Dave. I woke up crying, my leg's cut. And he's like, maybe I got you a toenail, as long as the cigarette. And as white as the cigarette. I had hand marks embedded in my arm. I'm like, did I squeeze myself? And the fingerprints were bigger than mine. And here it came out they were using the amnesia drugs and beating me. And Dave was roofing drinks, and then all those other people. None of this is funny. Because like I said, that one guy from Ravenna showed up February 25th, 22 at noon at McDonald's on Whipple and Fulton Road. Walked ahead of me. He was one of the goons who used to harass me. I thought, I'm not afraid of you. And I walk in, and he comes in, and he said, you know, the undercover police told Will she was lying, so he wouldn't help her. And I'm like, and I'm looking at him, and he's running his mouth to the sky. He sits close to the register. Everybody heard him. He's talking real loud. Okay? And he said, you know, they lied to him. So he wouldn't help her. Her ex-husband went to a store in Ravenna. Told everybody there he'd been trying to get rid of his wife for a while, and it hadn't worked. And nothing he did had worked, where I had almost been kidnapped, almost carjacked, followed around, doing an attempted kidnapping. It didn't work. And he didn't want me anymore, and asked everybody in that store to help, and it's been the people in the store doing it to her. And even though it was the people in the store doing it to her, some guy thought it was amazing what she lived through, and he wanted to meet her. And some guy comes up and says, hi, I'm Vito. But he rats him out. He said he was tired of it. He's like, and they don't even know how to fix it anymore. Well, that's what Michelle's mother, Memorial Day weekend 2019, food counter Walmart 62, by 10:30 in the morning. A white woman to an African American man, for it's my daughter, her husband dates. He met her in Ravenna when she was having a stomach smile. I had a concussion, and he got mad at me and hit me with a board in the face. I got smart with him. Here I got a tooth and cracked this one so bad they had to put a crown on it. I just got smart with him. He got mad and said something, I learned not to be so smart, and walked off and went to the store. Then he did that statement. And it's for my daughter they did all this for, and our family watching her doing this. And for who's Karen's rich boyfriend, but the state of Ohio protects her, mocking me from the food counter Walmart 62. You could hear it to the register. November 23rd, down at Fine Arts and Laser, an investigator was there. We found the tape of that idiot woman reckon they did all this for her daughter, Michelle, the young blonde girl. Well, with it being that the Lauren, the big boot girl, blonde hair that was seen and driving the medium blue car, the guy that impersonated a federal agent, it's probably her brother. And the other one, February 2nd, 22, said in Burlington Coat Factory, I knew by the men's clothing that he personally drugged me and told me to say stuff. And he regretted it. It was a fiasco that day because they sold the login by Christmas 18. People were running in out of their houses on 6th Street. People running in Save-A-Lot. Oh my goodness, they admitted to drugging her and telling her to say it before. Just like May 25th, 21, 6 p.m. Wendy's Louisville, the church people breaking in before drugging me, telling me to say weirdo stuff. And then 1295 Fairlawn, little apartment, little white woman screamed at him for doing it. Talked to several people. 8-9 first thing in the morning of 21, little old, or the second apartment building for me, second one close to fence, routed out. Dave was getting sick on his drinks. And then they talked to the police a few days later. Some guy who looks like Henry Moffey from the internet started texting me soon as uh, they started trying to kill me. I figured he was part of it. He, saying I was pretty through Instagram. Because why would you think I'm pretty as soon as they start trying to kill you? You're part of it. But what's scary is he showed up. Followed me around for 3 years. He come racing into town 8821. That ass actually fentanyl there. Screamed out on Fairlawn Street. I feel bad about everything. 8821, 815, 830 at night. My car tapes from the legally bugged house. I mean, the legally bugged case. Will at the Canton FBI started putting me in protective custody, not knowing the undercover police were helping out because of Michelle. She's a retired judge's daughter and the judge's kids. So, man, really need to look into something. Hell broke loose up there. It's like a house of horror. The legally bugged house, like they got them Amish men with the beards, they actually pulled Will's case. They got these people dead to rights. September 27th, 18. Because a heavyset cop talked to Dave within a few days. He didn't know that guy went to Pamer. Yeah. But, that guy yelled out 8821, 815, 830 at night. Did you know he fentanyl her and told her to say it before? No, we just found out. We just didn't know. They already knew the kids were light, so they thought they'd make a buck on a roofie. Where he's getting sick on his drinks. So yeah. None of this is funny. I told you about the shower scene. They March 2nd to the 3rd, 21, that they were going to put two clips together, put me in a porn. It wasn't me. It was on about 8:30, 10:30 at night. They were breaking. They were going to alter tapes to the neighbors. March 24th, 22, 1:30, the two apartment buildings for me. Second, close to the fence, some guy admitted to framing me, and some white guys out there screaming at him. Heavyset white guy with his dark hair woman. And you framed her before? Yeah, I framed her before. Shame on you. I know I found out those people even raped her. I feel bad about everything. You should. And Amy's like, I heard that clear in my apartment building for me, second close fence that read out. Dave came out and called him a bastard within a few days. Since they sold the login clear out in Canton, where I work at this other guy's house. The people out there, we all heard that bastard admit to framing you. It's common knowledge. May 12, 22, Bubba's restaurant. There's a big old camera outside. Men are on the patio. They're screaming at the undercover police driving by. We told those boys we found a tape of them admitting it was a shower scene in the other room. Because they're saying stuff that didn't happen. It's like, well, the only time I touch myself like that is showering. Okay? I walk outside. She figured out what they did. And so they're yelling at May 12, 22 at noon. We found a tape of those boys admitting a shower scene in the other room. About 6-8 men. May 26, 22 at noon, I went by Bubba's restaurant to see if there's a big old camera, and there is. I go up to KFC in Belden. There's a man walks in right after noon, 12 noon. Said the attorney had it set up so it looked like she was weird with herself, and they can't use it because some idiot man told on him. Well, more than one man told on him, and the police were driving by, and everybody heard him say that. Okay? So, edit the Oakland apartment December 9th. He's a maintenance man at Oakland apartment at, in Canton, December 9th, 21, 4 p.m. Someone calls them all the tapes before with them not heard. It's just a bunch of men doing crimes down here. That everything was dark and photoshopped. December 9th, 21, a white man with a bald with dark eyes actually was guard during the case. Came out from distributing food, the one on 9th Street. We always knew the tapes before with them, not her, so we never said a word. Okay? So that goes back to January 25th, 2019, 8:30, 10:30 at night. All the police are at the end of the road. One shows up on crying in my room. The police always knew she was innocent before they were talking about it at the station. Some guy was bailing his guy out from a team and said, if she's innocent, I'll pay a fine or bail. They said, no, the police already knew she was innocent before, and they never want to arrest her, that somebody else did something wrong before. In a legally bugged house, they told Dave that. They also told Dave between March 1st and March 15th and 19, 8:30, 10:30 at night, I'm sitting on the back patio, that it was a real life case of how to get away with murder. Okay? And then January the 19th, 22 at 11 o'clock in the morning, Department of Disability, they come in and tell them I was drugged and told to say stuff before. And they're like, somebody needs to help her. I've never been questioned with Miranda rights. I've never been prosecuted. And I've never been found guilty. They said June of 19, Liberty House Share, Ravenna Police is there. North Canton Jackson Police are working security out front. They said the worst thing you ever did wrong, honey, is bend over and probably we can wipe that one out. They let me on the back of my knees. That's why the officer was laughing. But then he was also on the phone with someone later. You made up a case to watch her before. That's funny. You did what to her? That's funny. She must really like him. They said they had made up fake paperwork to make it look official, fake sodium pentothal reports, fake court order, fake charges. It's fake. They told him to get rid of it. It wasn't true. The guy that didn't like me wrote it up. These people really did hurt me. I really did have bruises. And they really did cut me up. 12/20/118. Somebody needs to pull Will's case. Stabbed in the neck of the refrigerator. Find out everything they did. They said it's some serial killer named Henry. June 2nd through 11:48 p.m. You can pull the car tapes. Dunkin' Donuts in Louisville. I'm going through the drive-thru. Some male cashier. I told that Henry had no right. Well, they said she's a bad person. They didn't care what he did. Well, I don't care what they say. He didn't have a right. People have said that Henry is the one that actually cut my skull open. I don't know him. And who cut somebody up because someone calls him a bad person? Serial killers. So none of this is funny. It's just Michelle, that Lauren, and their families. That's related to a retired judge that's friends with a sitting judge, Judge Ludick, because at 9/18/19 they were joking around the back before my divorce. He looks like a little white Santa Claus. They're friends. And it's his daughter, retired Judge Pete's daughter, Michelle. Dixie even knew about Michelle, and John's kids called her Auntie Shell. I was found innocent in 18. Melissa, my ex-daughter-in-law, John's ex-wife, was friends with Auntie Shell and had the kids make up a bunch of mean games to pretend. And where everybody was being followed around, they caught Melissa telling the kids to lie. And then the kids on Thanksgiving, the house wasn't meant for Grandma. It was meant for Auntie Shell and Papa and Grandma needs to get out. And then later on, we're making everything up to Flora, my other granddaughter. They're documenting me games to pretend because they wanted the judge's daughter to get everything. Everything was, and my family spoke highly of me when I was with Assel. And then he even defends me on tape. But I was getting sick on his drinks, and people were breaking in, stabbing me with needles, and I'm throwing up so bad I can't even keep saliva down. And they were saying they were agents from the agency stationed in the courthouse. They were FBI. They were telling people that. And we're using sodium pentothal on her. We always knew you're innocent. Don't you remember the sodium pentothal? Tell someone you're arrested. You said this, you said that. I'm like, who are you? And that's a lie. Why would I say that? You know what I mean? Why would I say that? And who are you? I've never talked to you. Okay? But I had bruises and I was sick. And here where I was sick and I had bruises. They were already drugging me up to frame me. And then apparently photoshopping a shower scene. My whole family spoke highly of me. And even during the case, the Protect a Life case, I called Dave just to cover your ass thing. Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids. He defended me on more than 2 tapes. I expected him to. And he did. And I taped him, of course. So, yeah. I mean, people are trying to kill you. They're breaking in and stabbing you with needles. You remember the truth. Some guy came up and told me that. Remember the truth. They're trying to implant lies. They'll try to steal everything you have in life. The agents are so corrupt, they'll try to steal a settlement. That's this. They warned me in January of 19 in Walmart. They came up and walked off and said it real quick because these people are crazy. They had this extortion plan. They run around like they can get money out of it, and I tell the local police about it. They start laughing. We couldn't even look or listen until Will took your statement and agreed to protect you. It's illegal to be in somebody's home, and it would be illegal to look or listen. It is per Department of Justice. Who do you report? Anybody for surveilling, seeing your home, place, or anybody? Department of Justice, FBI, local police department, and ICE. Under the Fourth Amendment right to privacy, it's the legal search and seizure. Further into the law, police and agencies can only be in a home under threat of life. Failure to notify for initiating and speaking to the other person in the home is abuse of misconduct, and then failure to protect is abuse of misconduct. Then it would go into the right of privacy, illegal search and seizure. Because under the Department of Justice, it says a man's home is his castle and is not to be entered into. So that's where Officer Reinhardt giggled at the situation. It'd be illegal to look or listen. Until Will took your statement and agreed to protect you, there's nothing else. And then where that heavyset cop showed up and he asked Dave about those people threatening me, his case wouldn't have been legal. He didn't know that man went to Paymer. But if they pulled the lease of the duplex afterwards, there's an old lady that stayed on the one side, the group of men, the guy that impersonated the federal officer acting like they were helping them for it, called Will back. He may be on the lease. If not, those men know who he is. Yeah, and where Dave went to the store and told people he didn't want me anymore, he probably made a deal with those drug runners. And then the corrupt undercover police helping out for the judge's kids. Because like the guy said, it's just the people in the store. And it was a retired judge's kid that's friends with a sitting judge. They didn't even ever address anything wrong with me. Matter of fact, October 2020, FedEx, an investigator from Ravenna, for we all know this woman's innocent. We all know. One of the guys actually helped work the case, came down a couple weeks ago, was outside Save-A-Lot. Well, they always knew all those kids lied. They couldn't imagine somebody even saying anything bad about her. All the police know. Maslin Police will verify it. They watched Dixie on Federal Avenue, my daughter-in-law. And that's where November 24th, 8:40 a.m. Stat Care on Wales Road, an officer in uniform from Maslin comes in, and I'm here to watch her. There's a Steve and Eric stalking her. We don't know who they are yet, and it's finally got funny. After everything they did, nothing's admissible. No, it's not. It's all altered shit anyways. The funniest thing is, my other client lives off 6th Street. There's a Circle K gas station on Fulton Road by 6th Street. I'm in there using the bathroom between 7 and 9 in the morning because he hadn't woke up to let me in. And I'm using the bathroom. A lady comes in, a group of ladies come in from Ravenna. Me and my group can verify she's never said she did anything wrong before. And we made a big mistake being in her home. And she was a shower scene lady. And where I had people driving by, fuck you, bitch, yelling stuff at me. The woman that laid her life down to save her family lived through a concentration camp trying to protect them. They're yelling these things because this asshole drugged me up and told me to say something stupid. And then photoshopped a shower scene. How stupid are they? She's in there verifying that her and her group never seen one. And they made a big mistake. Okay? And she's like, and I don't even care about that one. Those people even raped her. Somebody last night, it was horrible. So I walked outside to smoke, and this lady was out there. She's like, you tell that cat, I know those boys raped her, and I'm going to be taking care of this. I was here last week, and some idiots were down the way, and they're like, Ken said he's not paying for this no more. Well, they're all getting in trouble for this. They need to. They're dangerous. Who the hell sells a police protect a life case? They're not in trouble for buying it, but they're in trouble for selling it. Impersonates federal agents, stalks somebody in their home, photoshops them and drugs them up, and then cuts them up and rapes and tortures them and sells it online. Terrorists and murderers. And it's like, don't threaten me with your crimes. I was already found innocent in 18. That's how stupid all this is. Because like the one Ravenna officer, undercover officer, we were never interested in you. Well, when you find the kids lying and their mom telling them a lie, and you know the judge's daughters had a bunch of idiots Photoshop and drug the woman up, you're not going to say a damn word to that woman because they'd all go to jail. It's hi, sweetie. The bitchy divas, they're at it again. Uh-huh. It's hi, sweetie. Not a damn word. Mm-hmm. We were never interested in you. Some guy looked into it for a little bit, said a few things around me, and looked at me and went, trust me, I'm no longer interested in you. Family spoke highly of me. I've never talked to anybody. Dave defended me on tape. Of course, I taped him. They're breaking in, stabbing me with needles, lying crazy lies around me. And I don't know who's stabbing me. It's not funny. It's serial killing shit. And people need to look at these people for what they are. They're murderers. You got to think out of normal human empathy. That's a human being. You don't stab it with needles. You don't cut it up. My God. You don't rape it. You don't publicly humiliate it. It's a human being. If I was a dog, and they were doing this to a dog and put it on the internet, animals lovers would swarm this place. People need to realize how not funny this is. Because judges' little bitchy little daughters are involved. And they corrupted some cops. It's not funny to have police rape people. It's not funny to have the police drug people up and frame them. That's not funny. To want them to be hardened criminals and to make money off of it. And have a serial killer cut the wife up and mock the wife. It's like, have you lost your ever loving fucking minds? Well, I'm gonna stop. But yeah, you might want to check that Canopy area. Because when I called my oldest on Christmas, I thought it was the FBI scrambling my phone number, and nothing was the FBI. They were scrambling numbers, lights flashing, probably signals. And were probably drug running, and those were probably the druggers. And that Henry, being a surgeon, probably helped give him the amnesia drugs. Because who the hell cut somebody up with Jack the Ripper? Okay. They need to pull Will's case 12/21/18, stab in the neck of the refrigerator, foggy, hazy, dark, bright light. Wake up 6 hours later, 4-inch bruise under my ribs with finger marks embedded in it. My head used to be round. It's done it in. This hair is missing. The skin feels funny. There's another man's comb on the dresser and a steak knife with bone and flesh in the sink. And Dave screaming at me that I had an affair. I had no idea what happened. I was so drugged up, I couldn't even think, and I got back in bed, and people were breaking in and stabbing me with needles. Within 10 days, they're at Walmart. We implanted a neurochip, and I thought, you're lying. Neurochips are real. They're used in paralyzed patient. Paralyzed man plays video game with brain chip, and paralyzed man plays computer with brain chip. Comes up with a cell phone, says 16. But our U.S. government, U.S. Supreme Court 18-10134, outlawed remote neuromonitoring and electronic brain links as a legal strategy for the truth. It's used by perpetrators as a heinous crime. Comes with 20-year sentence. You can't just get somebody. See what I mean? They're criminals. Hardened, sick, demonic criminals. And people need to look at them for who they are. But 12/21/18, if you pull Will's case, Massillon police work it. And they sold it. It's common knowledge. And you can actually watch between July and September 19 of a cop stalking an old fat white man beating the hell and raping me out. And Faith Family Church yelled at that officer because they sold the login to even them. It's common knowledge. They sold the login by like Christmas 18. They came up and told me the agents are selling the login for money. They're selling it for $25 a pop. Someone does need to help me. I almost died to save my family, and trying to kill me just for Becky Judge daughters and their weirdo friends. And serial killers and some cops are stupid so they can play a real life case of murdering somebody. It's sick. April 14, 22, 1:48 p.m. Two women investigators followed me into Save Law. They really did have a man pretend he was FBI before she called an agent back. It was a stunt so Dave could confront her in the truck. They had met people pretend they were kids. And her kids knew nothing about it, bad mouthing her. And it's just been the people hurting her the whole time. It's just sick. It is. And somebody needs to help me.